codominance and incomplete dominance. So developments in technology have allowed deeper exploration into the complexity of inheritance patterns beyond what Mendel proposed, all right? So we've been talking a lot about Mendel and Morgan. What Mendel didn't know, but we know now thanks to the technology, phenotypes can result from different expressions of alleles other than just dominant and recessive. So again, phenotypes can result from different expressions of alleles other than just dominant or recessive. Okay, and then that's what these two things are, okay? Codominance and incomplete dominance. We're actually going to be diving into a little bit of multiple alleles as well. So it's a little bit different than these two, but it branches off a little bit further in terms of its complexity, okay? But let's just have a look at these two things first, okay? Let's first start off with incomplete dominance. So incomplete dominance is when the two alleles are actually equally dominant. So when they interact, this is the cool part, they produce a new phenotype. So what does this mean? It means that the alleles in question, right, so those two letters, right, that we always talk about, like big R, small r, the alleles are not completely dominant or completely recessive. An example of this is a snapdragon plant. All right, so this one here is a snapdragon. Let's assume this one is a purple one. Okay, so let's shade that in there with purple. But now let's cross it with another snapdragon, but this time this one's white. So what do you think is going to happen when they cross? What are the potential offspring colors that are going to arise in the next generation? Okay, so this is the P generation, right? The parent generation. So what's going to be the F1 generation next? What do you think? So what ends up happening, again, this is the F1 generation. So what ends up happening, if we were to get 4 different possibilities of offspring, like we do with our Punnett squares, you actually end up getting this, a pink color-like snapdragon plant. Okay, but you see how all 4 of them ended up being pink. It's not like one of them was purple, another one was white, and then you only have 2. No, all of them ended up being pink. Why do you think this was the case? The color traits, because we just looked at an example about color, right? So the color traits from both parents are blended together. Okay, so that's the important term. Okay, are blended together to produce a third phenotype. Obviously, this means to produce, right? To yield, okay? Despite only 2 alleles existing. So an easy way to remember this is the word incomplete. So it's not completely purple, okay? It's not that. It's not completely purple, and it's not completely white either, right? It's incomplete. So if it's incomplete, it's kind of a mix of both. So it's a blend. So it gives you that little pinkish color, okay? As you can see here, if you get 2 blobs of paint, okay, so the purple one and the white one, you put them together, the blob is pinkish. And don't just limit this to paint or something insignificant like something inorganic. Think about our living thing as well, like our eyeball. If there was a hazel-like color, this is indicative of incomplete dominance. What makes up a hazel eye color? Brown eyes and green eyes make hazel. And yes, there are green eye colors too. Obviously, brown is the dominant one, right? Green will be the recessive. Put them together, you get hazel. And this applies to like hair color as well. It also applies to like skin color. Okay, skin color is way more complex though, way more variance. And we'll be looking at that with multiple alleles. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. That's what we're going to be doing at the end after we cover incomplete and codominance. First, once you have a solid understanding of that, then we'll extend out to multiple alleles. Because something like skin, it's considered even more complex than multiple alleles because it's polygenic and the amount of possibilities and range in the continuum is so large. But for now, you can just categorize it together with all these, right? The hair color and the eye color. It's just a blend. All right, so just another quick summary. If you have C to the Y is going to be represented of yellow. If you have only those, obviously you're going to be getting a yellow phenotype. Similarly, if you have only the blue alleles, you're going to be getting blue, okay? And the reason why we add these as superscripts is because we need to ensure we're emphasizing that they are neither dominant or recessive. They are equal. So if you get something like blue and yellow, what do you think you're going to get? You guessed it, you're going to be getting green, okay? By the way, this only works with paint because it's hard material. So like paint, for example, when you put blue and yellow together, you get green, but when it comes to light, blue and yellow light, it does not give you that green color. But that has more to do with physics. Just think of this as a lens, not from a physics lens. Think of it from a lens of from what you experimented with in middle school and elementary school. When you put blue and yellow paint together, you get green, right? So again, yeah, these are incomplete dominance, right? So ID, incomplete dominance. And even though complete dominance, I'm going to start off with a note there. If I can just compare and contrast here, actually. It's always nice to compare and contrast, right? So if I were to do this for complete dominance, what do you think would happen? So this one here was obviously going to be blue, right? Because you only have the two Bs. This one here is going to be yellow again because you only have the two yellows. But what about codominance? I'll give you a small hint of what codominance is. Both alleles are expressed at the same time. Take a pause the video. How do you think that would be represented in this little mixture over here? All right, hopefully you gave it a thought. You would see both yellow and blue phenotypes. Okay, you're going to see them both completely, okay? Representative of the co here, okay? You can completely see both equally, all right? But they're not blended together. They are represented in separate but very distinguishably. But anyways, let's do a little quick example of incomplete dominance and then we'll jump into codominance. All right, again, this one is incomplete dominance, right? So let's give this a try together. So in Snapdragons, there are three variations of color: red, white, and pink. Okay, we've already looked at this previously a little bit. So red is produced by homozygous genotype, white is produced by the other homozygous genotype, and pink is produced by the heterozygous, all right? So let's say red is going to be R, okay? So R, okay, and you want white to maybe be W, that would make sense. So if you put them together, okay, RW, that would be that pink color we looked at. So what will the F1 and F2 genotypic and phenotypic ratios be if we crossed a red Snapdragon? Again, red is this one over here, the R, but remember, it has to be homozygous, right? Because if you have RW, it's pink. So this one's got to be C to the R and C to the R again, all right? So then the other one, okay, the white Snapdragon over here, okay, has to be CW, CW. So let's put them together, CR, CW, CR, CW, CR, CW, CR, CW. Okay, so 100% are going to be CR, CW. Again, that's the genotype, right? So what would the phenotype be? The phenotype would be pink. Again, this was the F1 generation. Okay, let's do the F2 generation now. So same thing, let's make our little Punnett square. What do the parents have to be over here? Obviously, there's no other choice because 100% of them, of the offspring possibilities, are the same pairings of alleles. Okay, so this is CR, this is CW, this is also CR, CW. So what do you end up getting now? Okay, you have CR, CR, you have CR, CW, you have CR, CW, and you have WCW. Okay, so 1 out of 4 possibility of getting CR, 1 out of 4 being CW, and 2 out of 4 being CW. Again, this is genotypic, right? So what would the phenotype be? So again, 1 out of 4 is going to be red, 1 out of 4 is going to be white, and 2 out of 4 is going to be pink. It doesn't matter whether you use percentages or fractions, either are correct. It is up to you. Let's do another for incomplete dominance. Give this a try on your own. Pause the video and then resume only when you're done. Okay, so they give you a little bit of a legend up here. It's saying to determine the genotypic and phenotypic ratios of just the F1 generation, okay? However, it's like a two-parter. Okay, this is kind of the first part of the question A, and this will be like the first part of the second part of the question B. So in our first part, we have two cream colored. Okay, so let's put our little Punnett square again. And cream colored was the heterozygous, right? The CYCW. So we're gonna put CYCW with another CYCW. You get CYCY, CYCW, CYCW. CW. It doesn't matter who you put first, okay, Y or W. It does not give, it is not indicative of an order of who is more dominant than the other, okay? It does not matter. All right, so the chances of getting a CY is 25%. The chances of getting a CW is also 25%. And the chances of you getting CYCW is 50%. Or phenotypically known as 25%. So this one here is obviously the yellow coat, so yellow, and then the other 25% is the white coat, and then the last 50% is going to be the cream color coat. All right, so now we got a cream coated animal again, so we'll do that again, CYCW, but a yellow coat is CYCY, right? So CYCY, so let's put that in, CYCY, CYCW, CYCY, CYCW. All right, so 2 out of 4 are CYCY, so yellow, right? And 2 out of 4 are cream color, CYCW. So phenotypically, 2 out of 4 are yellow, and the other 2 out of 4 is cream. All right, we'll do one more for good luck here. So again, this is incomplete dominance. I don't believe you need a legend for this because we've already kind of gone over these colors. So determine the crosses, okay? It's a very vague question. So you don't really need to give the genotypic and phenotypic ratios as long as you put the squares correctly, okay? You determine the crosses correctly using that Punnett square. You'll be fine, okay? So if you want, we can actually put a Punnett square over here and another Punnett square over here. Okay, so this will be pertaining to that one, and this will be pertaining to this one. All right, so give it a shot. Pause the video and resume when you're ready. All right, so this one here, you have a red flower, so that's going to obviously be the two R's. You have a pink flower, that was the heterozygous one, right? The mixed blend of red and white, so that'll be R and W, so you get CRCR, CRCR, CRCW, and CRCW. Okay, so those are the crosses. All right, how about this one? You got a white flower and a pink flower. So you get a white flower over here. It's homozygous for the W's. And we got another pink one, and that was the heterozygous one, just like that, CRCW. So CRCW. All right, so you get CRCW, CRCW, CWCW, and CWCW. All right, so this was like 50% red, 50% pink possibilities. And similarly, this is also 50%, right? So 50% pink, 50% white though. All right, let's jump into codominance now. All right, codominance. All right, what are you going to get when you get a red cow with a white cow? I mean, technically, this one will be a bull, right? The male version. So this will be a red bull versus a white cow. What do you think is going to happen for the resulting calf over here? Remember, for codominance, you can completely see the red and you can completely see the white, right? I'll do it in green, okay? So you can completely see the red, completely see the white over here. You got to be able to see both. So you're going to see some white, some white, some white, some white, and some red, some red, some red. So this is known as a roan cow. It is a mix of red and white, okay? So it's not a blend. So I'm just going to put here, it is not a blend. It is a mix of distinguishing features, okay? And then the features are obviously going to be equal in proportion, okay? Because they're equally dominant still. Okay, so both alleles are expressed equally. Okay, so if this one here was a red and this one here was still a white, both R and W are seen with this probability of offspring having it. It's just that RW here doesn't stand for pink, like the snapdragon plants we looked at. The RW stands for red and white separately. All right, again, this is codominance, all right? So I want you to try this completely on your own, okay? So incomplete dominance was pretty much the same thing. I don't need to go through a sample one with you, okay? So give this a try on your own, please. Pause the video and resume when you've done it yourself. All right, so let's put our little Punnett square. we got to do F1 and F2. Okay, so obviously this is the F1 generation that we're trying to look for of possibilities. So red cow, CR, white bull, CW. And you should have noticed, right? The red cow here, the red color here is representative of the cow. Okay? And the white was representative of the bull. It was different based on the little excerpt that I just showed you a minute ago, because they were reversed, right? So this can happen too. You can have a red female cow with a white bull. It's not exclusively where a red one is going to be a bull. Okay, so there's lots of variants. So let's start it now. So we got CC, you got RW, CRCW, CRCW, CRCW. Okay, and then let's do the F2 generation now. And then we're going to just summarize them together at the same time. CRCW, CRCW, CRCR, CRCW, CRCW, CWCW. So for the genotypic ratio, you have here 100% CRCW. Phenotypically, this is 100% chance of getting roan. For this one, genotypically, you have 25% chance of having red, 25% chance of having white, and 50% chance of having roan. Okay, sorry, this was phenotypic. My mistake. Alright, so then the genotypic here is again same thing, 25% CRCR, 25% CWCW, and 50% CRCW. Okay, so you can also do this too. Alright, this is a valid ratio. Okay, so this one belongs to the CRCR. This 2 belongs to the roan. Okay, so CRCW. And this one belongs to that 25% white. Okay, so CW. Alright, we'll do one more for good measure. Pause the video, try it yourself. Alright, so we got CRCR and we got CRCW. So let's put them together. CRCR, CRCR, CRCW, 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 and CRCW. Alright, so now we just have to describe the genotypic ratio, okay? As well as the phenotypic ratio. So if this is going to be the genotypic ratio, we have to be doing it in... So you can use percentages, you can use ratios, you can use the dotted ratios, or you could use percentages, okay? So let's give this a try. So you have 25, no, you have 50% over here. So you have 50% CRCR and 50% CRCW. Phenotypically, however, 50% is going to be red, okay? So we got to put 50% red over here. And 50% are going to be the roan color. Alright, so let's briefly look at multiple alleles, alright, to finish off this video. Okay, so when more than 3 phenotypes are possible, then more than 2 alleles for that trait must exist, okay, in that population. Okay, so more than 2 alleles for that trait must exist. Okay, this is known as multiple allelism, and we demonstrated that with the hazel eye color, right? And it's important to note that any individual will only have two alleles for each trait. Okay, regardless of how many different alleles exist for that trait. But the different individuals can have different pairs of those alleles. Okay, so I'll just put here, however, different individuals can have different pairs of those alleles. Alright, so they can be mixed and matched a little bit differently. So what is this going to result in? Okay, it's going to result in a higher, so larger, number of possible genotypes. and of course greater variety of phenotypes too. Let's have a look at another example. So another example could be blood types. Alright, so a single gene determines the human blood types, alright? So a single gene determines these. So the basic human blood types come in just 3 alleles. Alright, so also known as a multi-allele trait. So for example, type A, blood, is represented as IA, okay, or I to the big A. This I, by the way, stands for immunoglobulin. Type B, similar, is going to be I to the B. And type O is I to the O. Important to note that A and B are actually codominant. What does that mean, or what is codominance? Codominance means you can completely see A and you can completely see B, remember, equally, but they're not blended, okay? They are not blended. You can see them equally separately, okay? They were distinguishably present. This is present, this is present, right? But O is recessive. All right, so O is weaker than A and B. So before we digress, I just want you to remember that even though we looked at type A, type B, and type O, that's not a concrete number of human blood types. Technically, there is a fourth one, okay? So technically, overall, there are 4 possible human blood types. But the A's, okay, and the B's, and the O's that we just looked at, that was the possible number of alleles, okay, the different types of alleles, not the possible number of human blood types. So I just want to put here, there are 3 possible alleles, but 4 possible blood types. So again, if we look at type A, okay? Type A is technically the phenotype, all right? This is what you physically see, okay? I know you can't see someone's blood type with your naked eye, but you could easily pick up a kit from Amazon right now, prick yourself with the instrument, and it can tell you your blood type. It will tell you if you're like type A, for example. So that's how you can phenotypically see it, okay? Physically see it, quote unquote see it, okay? Because that is your blood group, all right? But the actual genotype, though, is IA, okay? However, you also need to have another IA. IA is type A. But because, remember, A and B are codominant and O is recessive, if you have an IAIO, what are you phenotypically going to see? This person, what is it? Is this person type A or is this person type O? Obviously type A, because this is more dominant, okay? It's greater than that O. So this person is also a blood group type A as well. So this here would be the genotypic characteristic. And the actual blood cell would kind of look like this, okay? I believe it has some crowns sticking out to the side, okay? So let's look at type B then. What will be the genotypes for type B? Okay, so obviously you got IBIB, but then you also have IBIO, because remember, B is also dominant over O. Okay, O is just overall recessive. This one has different surface proteins. Okay, let's make them look more circular now. Type O has no choice. It must be IOIO, all right, genotypically. All right, and this one's not going to have anything on the outside. And the last one, AB, all right, so AB is going to be IAIB, but neither one is going to be greater than the other, okay? They are equal. And it's going to have a little bit of the crown, and it's going to have a little bit of that bubble. Or I make it look something like that. Okay, a combination of these. All right, so those proteins that I just talked about on the outside, okay, these are also known as antigens, okay? I mean, technically antigens don't actually have to be proteins. Mostly they are, okay, so we consider them proteins, but they can also be like saccharides too. But anyways, we'll just say protein. And what protein, okay, what antigen is present on this blood cell? Obviously, if it's a type A, we have to say that there is an A antigen, okay? An A antigen is present. For a type B, however, a B antigen is present. For O, guess what? There's nothing on the outside, so there is none present, okay? No antigen present. So how about for AB? Obviously you have both the A and the B antigen. So A and B antigens are present. So this is why type O's are known as the universal donor. Because when they give away this blood, if that person was, let's say, type AB, and they notice blood that has nothing around it, it's not going to ring any bells that it is foreign or harmful, because it has that A antigen and that B antigen. Because it doesn't have any antigen over there, this person's blood isn't worried about this donor's blood. However, let's say type O received, let's say, AB's blood, it's going to ring alarm and it's going to reject it because type O doesn't have anything around it. That's what it's used to. If it notices blood with an A antigen, does this type O have it? No. So it's going to reject it. What's even worse is it also notices that this incoming foreign blood also has a B antigen. So it's going to reject that one as well. So transfusing type A blood into a type O would be very, very dangerous. Similarly, type O can't even receive B here because, again, these antigens are present, which type O does not have. Same thing with type A, okay? If type A is incoming to a type O person's body, these A antigens are not present on type O. But type B can obviously take type O blood. It's not going to ring any alarms, right? Same thing with type A. Type A can also receive type O blood. Okay, there's no antigens around it. So this also tells us that type AB is going to be the universal acceptor because type AB, like we said, can take in type O. But guess what? Type AB can also take in B because these B antigens are already present on type ABs. So it's not going to reject type B. Okay, so type B can be accepted. Okay, same thing with type A. Okay, it can also be accepted into type AB. Okay, so it's good to write here that this is the universal donor, whereas the AB is known as the universal acceptor. So individuals who have a type O are always encouraged to donate blood when they can because it can absolutely help people who need a blood transfusion. They are by far the most important blood group type. Alright, so let's try this question together. If a woman has blood type AB, okay, so IAIB, and a man has blood type O, IOIO, okay, I know they didn't put IOIO there, but you probably should, so this would be IO, so this should be IOIO, okay? What possible blood types will their children have? So let's put another cross. And let's put the woman over here. So IAIB, so IAIB, and the man blood type O, IOIO. Put them together, IAIO, IAIO, IBIO, IBIO. So if in this lottery draw, this offspring was chosen, this offspring would be blood type A. Okay? If this one was chosen, this would be blood type A. If this one was chosen, blood type B. If this one was chosen, blood type B. So possible blood types would therefore be type A or type B. Okay, didn't ask for any genotypic or phenotypic ratios, right? Alright, try this question on your own, pause the video, and only resume when you've tried it yourself. Alright, so let's start with male here. So man is blood type A, and they both had a type O parent. So with the man over here, let's say the mom was type O, okay? So this man's mom. All right, what about this man's dad? Well, let's see. If the dad was IAIA, okay, then all of these would be IA, IO, IAIO, IAIO, and IAIO, right? What if we changed that person's father to be IAIO? So then you get IAIO, IOIO, IAIO, and IOIO. Is it possible that this man, okay, with blood type A could have existed? Absolutely, okay, there was a 50% chance here. But in either case, whether the man's dad had IAIA or IOIO, we did not see any IAIA, okay, as an offspring, okay, over here. So this man could not be an IAIA. This man is 100% IAIO. Alright, so this man is IAIO. Similarly, it's going to be the same thing for the mom, right? It's the same concept. So let's put woman. Right, she's also got to be IBIO. So we got to find out the expected genotypes and phenotype ratios of their offspring when they mate. Okay, so let's put another Punnett square over here. We got IAIO and IBIO. So you get IAIB, IBIO, IAIO, and IOIO. 1 out of 4 chance of the offspring being IAIB, 1 out of 4 chance of the offspring being IOIO, and 1/4 chance of the offspring being IAIO, and another 1/4 chance of it being IBIO. You see how we have increased the number of possible genotypic combinations and have a greater variety of phenotypes, okay, as we looked at earlier on in this video in writing. Okay, so phenotype, same thing. We have 25% chance being type AB, 1/4 chance, again, another 25% chance of being type B. All right over there. 1/4 chance of being type AB, of being type A over there. And the last one, 1/4 chance of being type O. All right, last one, polygenic traits. So traits like skin color that we talked about a little bit in the beginning of this video, okay, it exists as a continuum. Okay, rather than just small discrete categories, because they are controlled by a group of genes, all right? So controlled by a group of genes. All right, so also known as 2 or more. So I'll just put here 2 or more. So for example, as many as 60 genes are actually thought to influence the skin color. Pairs of alleles, okay, but as you can see, we're used to saying pairs of alleles, right? But this time we don't have pairs. It's like a triplet. We have a large group of those pairs, okay? So you can have a small a with small b with small c. And to simplify, you can make them non-checkered, okay? So all these dots over here, all these circles here are representative of each of these individual alleles, okay? So because all of them are lowercase, none of them are checkered or shaded in, okay? This one, however, they're all capital, okay? Capital A, B, B, C, C. So all of them are going to be checkered in, all right? So someone who's very light could be like albino, for example. Someone who's very dark is very close to the black color, okay? So very far away from like that tan or brown color. Okay, so both of these are on the complete opposite sides of this continuum. If they cross, however, and end up with these combinations, and they cross, look at the amount of possibilities that you can have. It is absolutely large. It is a ton of variety, okay? So this is why the concept of race, so let's say like the white race, okay, the black race, the yellow race, the brown race, okay? So all of these are actually just made up concepts. Okay, there's no such thing as white, because there are people who are extremely white, so very, very light, and there are people who are on the more darker side of white. Because look at all the different types of possibilities. There's a lot of different variances of white over here. Same thing with black. All right, and we always try to think of white as the Caucasian individuals, but there are many individuals from Middle Eastern countries, for example, who look more white than they do black or brown. So again, it is a continuum. This white race doesn't exist. Same thing with the black. Same thing with the black race. Okay, it doesn't exist. There are individuals who are more dark black versus others who are a lighter shade of black. Okay, has to do more with shade. Okay, all of these are different shades of color. Okay, yellow. So for example, like Asians, okay, like East Asian, they have been categorized as yellow, right? But are they actually yellow? Absolutely not, right? Or black, right? Have you ever seen someone who's actually like black, like this chalkboard over here? Obviously not, right? Same thing with brown. There are shades of brown. There are individuals who are a fairer shade of brown. There are individuals who are a darker shade of brown. Heck, sometimes people categorize the Native Americans as like red. But that's obviously not true. Individuals who are of closer Native American descent could be a shade of closer to brown or closer to yellow or or closer to white. Okay, it's all a shade. Look at all the different types of variety of colors within the continuum. Okay, this race stuff is complete nonsense. There is no such thing as race. Okay, there's only one race, the human race, and we all bleed red. So don't fall into the trap of this race culture war. It really is just to divide us, especially within the political realm. We all gotta snap out of it. Okay, and very similarly, what about height? There are people who are really, really tall. There are people who are really, really short. There are people who are in the middle. There are people who are a little bit taller than the average. There are people who are a little bit smaller than the average. It doesn't matter. There is a ton of variance. It is polygenic, all right? Just like skin color. Obviously, people strive to be taller because it may result in better achievements, or people care about height in terms of appearance, okay? So they look for those as the attributes, but also people who are shorter are technically at an advantage for survival health-wise. In fact, in the animal kingdom, the shorter the individual, the shorter the species, the higher the chance of survival due to hiding or burrowing away from the predators. But again, like I said in the beginning, we've kind of removed ourselves away from the animal kingdom. Okay, we're kind of like our own little species doing our own little thing. Because heck, maybe we're a little bit special.